स्क्रीन शेयर नहीं है। Okay, so we are live, I guess. Am I audible? If you can hear me, write +1 in the chat.
Okay, so we are live, I guess.
Great, great. Let's wait for a few minutes and let everyone join, and after that, we will start the session. सर्कुलेट कर दो लिंक्स अपने ग्रुप्स में, अपने फ्रेंड्स को। Okay, so good evening, freshers. I hope you all are doing well. My name is Aryaman Thakur, and I am a second year member of Machine Learning Division. And today I will be taking this workshop. This is the first workshop by Machine Learning Division. So we will wait little more for 1 or 2 minutes, and then we will start the session. तब तक बताओ क्या चल रहा है कॉलेज में। गुड इवनिंग एवरीवन, गुड इवनिंग। ऑनलाइन में क्या ही है, होगा ऑफलाइन भी होगा, जल्दी ही ऑफलाइन होगा, डोंट वरी। बोरिंग है कॉलेज। सही है, ऑफलाइन में इंटरेस्टिंग हो जाएगा। डाउट्स डाउट्स यहीं पे पूछोगे तुम सब। You will be asking doubts in the chat box, and some member from the machine learning division will try to solve it. And if it is a big doubt, a major doubt, then I will take the doubt and solve it, show you some examples on the screen. Okay, so I guess we should start the session. So, yeah, let's start with what machine learning is. So, let me first define machine learning and then I'll explain. So, machine learning is the ability to automatically learn and improve from experience without being explicitly programmed. थोड़ा बड़ा definition है, but don't worry. So, what happens in traditional programming is we give the computer out input and we write a program, okay, and then computer is producing the result. So remember that we are writing program on the humans are writing the program, and what happens in machine learning is we give the computer inputs, and we also give it the desired outputs, and after that the machine somehow magically generates the program. So in traditional programming, we humans are writing the program, and in machine learning, the computer is writing the program using some magic. Okay, so we will have a proper dedicated session to machine learning, and that will be held on 3rd February. To attend that session, उस सेशन में और डिटेल में बताया जाएगा मशीन लर्निंग के बारे में, एंड दे विल गिव यू टन्स ऑफ एग्जांपल्स ऑफ मशीन लर्निंग. Right now, I will give you a few examples. Okay, so one major application of machine learning is object detection, and this is used in self-driving cars the most. और भी बहुत सारे applications हैं इसके. And another application is face detection and recognition. So face detection is similar to object detection, but in this the computer is trying to detect faces and facial features. And recognition is something different. In facial recognition, the computer is trying to find out who the person is in the image. And recognition is extensively used in authentication systems. तुम्हारे फोन में लैपटॉप में जो फेस आईडी होता है उसमें यूज होता है रिकॉग्निशन का. एंड दिस डिटेक्शन इज यूज्ड इन फिल्टर्स इन डे टू डे लाइफ. स्नैपचैट पे जो फिल्टर्स होते हैं वो कुत्ता बन जाता है. सो दैट इज डन यूजिंग फेस डिटेक्शन. ओके, now another very major application is recommendation system. So how does Netflix know which show you are going to like? And similarly, how does YouTube know the exact moment and the exact video that it should suggest that so that you will click on it? So इसमें यूज होता है recommendation system. And इसके भी बहुत सारे further applications हैं like chat box and offensive comments को delete करना and all those stuff. And another application is GANs. It stands for Generative Adversarial Networks. Detail में नहीं जाना है उसमें. You see the images on the left. The image on the left, the top left image is a zebra, okay? And somehow the computer converted it to an image of horses. Zebra को replace करके वहां पे horse लगा दिया. And below that image, there was an image of horse, and somehow magically it was converted to the image of a zebra. GANs से ये सब चीजें कर सकते हैं. And another example is you see on the right side we have a bunch of faces which look absolutely real to all of us, but the fact is none of these person actually exist because all these images were created by machines. And the fact that computers can create such realistic figures is itself mind blowing. So we will be having dedicated session on all the applications of machine learning and what actually machine learning is. But now let's talk about today's session, okay? So you don't need any prerequisites to attend this session. And let me tell you what you are going to learn this in this session. So at the end of this workshop, you will be able to understand Python code and even write some of it. And you are also going to learn NumPy and Pandas, which are very famous libraries of Python. And at the end, you will also learn a little bit of Matplotlib and Seamount, which are two plotting libraries. So let's start with Python. I am going to teach you Python for the next 1 hour, 1 hour 20 minutes approximately. So what is Python? The first question. So Python is a programming language and it is extensively used in machine learning. And some of you might not know what a programming language is. So it is basically like a set of instructions which you can give to the computer to make it do certain tasks. Okay, जैसे कि हम लोग नॉर्मल इंग्लिश में बात करते हैं, हिंदी में बात करते हैं, तो कंप्यूटर से बात करने के लिए एक प्रोग्रामिंग लैंग्वेज चाहिए होता है. ओके, नाउ पाइथन का पॉपुलैरिटी लाइक बढ़ते ही जा रहा है एंड in the past decade it has grown tremendously, popularity of Python. So what is the reason behind it? Why is Python so cool? So the answer is Python has a very simple syntax and it is very beginner friendly, and this is what makes Python a very easy to learn language. Another important point is that Python is very versatile. It has many applications and you can create a small project with Python, like a high school project, and you can also create a very large scalable projects using Python, like some social media platform or even YouTube. And another advantage is that Python has huge number of external libraries and मतलब बहुत सारे tools हैं जो कि Python का use करते हैं, and you can import these libraries and use it to your benefit. And another very important reason why Python is getting so popular is that it has a very big, active, and supportive community. This plays a very major role in deciding popularity of a language, and also Python is an open source language. So I told you Python is very versatile. So what are the applications of Python? Where is a language like Python used? So machine learning obviously, इसीलिए इस सेशन में पढ़ाने वाले हैं मशीन लर्निंग के सेशन में Python. And another application is in software development, in web development, in research. It is used to make complex calculations, and it is also used in information security. So I believe Python is one language which you can learn irrespective of the division that you want to join. So you can learn Python and you can uh, use it for machine learning. You can learn Python and learn a bunch of libraries like Django REST framework, and Flask, and make web applications, very scalable web applications, very secure ones. And you can also use Python for scripting and making your own tools in case of information security. So I highly recommend you all to learn Python, and let's move forward to Python installation. कोई डाउट है क्या अभी तक? I don't think so कोई डाउट होगा. So Python installation we are not going to cover. You can find this PPT in the description of this video and you can go through the PPT. It is a very easy process. Just एक file download करनी है and उसको run करना है and Python will get installed. What we are going to use in this session is Google Colab, which is even more easy to use. Let me tell you what Jupyter Notebook is. It is a browser-based interactive environment for Python. Browser-based means it runs in the browser, and interactive environment is like whenever you run a piece of code, it is going to give output just below it. And you don't have to run the entire code every time. You can run individual blocks of code called cells in Jupyter, and the output will be shown just below it. And you can include very richly formatted comments in that file in the Jupyter Notebook. And it is extensively used in machine learning and data science. Now, coming to Google Colab, it is like an online version of Jupyter Notebook and it runs on the cloud. And Google also gives you free computation resources. So, if you don't have a GPU on your computer, you can use Google Colab. And most importantly, Google Colab is very easy to set up and use, right? So what I want you all to do is go to the description of this video and there you will find a link titled Python Workshop. I want you all to open that link in a new tab. Okay, this is going to be a hands-on session. So as I teach and run code on my copy of Collab, I want you all to run parallelly on your copy of Collab also. I recommend this. It is not necessary. And what else I recommend is you run this multiple times. आज नहीं, like next workshop से पहले एक दो बार और run कर लेना. It is going to help you understand Python better and get familiar with the syntax and language. Okay, so I think we can dive into Python now. Just a minute. Let me share the new screen. Can I use PyCharm? Yes, you can use PyCharm. You can use VS Code also. You can use any distribution of Python and use it. But in this session, for simplicity, we are going to use Google Colab because it is very easy to use. Like you can just click a link and start using it. All you need is a Google account, Gmail account. Don't download Python right now. Yes, you can download it later. It is a very easy process. And let's start Python. So we will start by writing our first program, and conventionally it is the hello world program. So the task is to print hello world on the screen. So this is how you can print something in Python. All you have to do is type print, and inside the brackets of print you need to write whatever you want to print, and that thing will get printed. Also, I'm running the cell by pressing shift and enter at the same time. So this is connecting, this is making a connection right now. So hello world got printed here. This is how you can print anything. And also note that I have enclosed hello world inside these quotations. So I will tell you more about this in detail later in the session. But right now, just remember that whenever you want to print a word, a sentence, or an alphabet, you need to enclose it within these double quotations or single quotations. Okay. This is how you can print something. And now I will tell you three important things about the print statement. The first is the print statement itself. Whenever you want to print something, type print inside the brackets, put whatever you want, and that will get printed. And if you want to print multiple things in Python, you can do it with the same print statement by separating those different things with comma. So here I'm also printing numbers and decimal numbers along with words. On this cell, so it got printed just like I wanted, and Python has automatically added a space between every two things. Okay, so remember, Python automatically adds a space between two words, two numbers, anything, two objects whenever you are printing. So the third thing is, whenever you are using print statement, Python will automatically add a new line at the end of it. Let me show you with an example. तो इधर क्या हुआ कि प्रिंट स्टेटमेंट पहले लाइन पे प्रिंट हुआ एंड बाय डिफॉल्ट कॉमा एंड्स विद अ दूसरे लाइन पे प्रिंट हुआ. व्हाट इफ वी वांट टू प्रिंट इट कंटिन्यूअसली, एक के बाद एक, we can do that very easily. We just need to specify inside the print statement like this using a comma and end that hey Python, please end this line with a blank instead. डबल quotations के अंदर कुछ नहीं का मतलब होता है blank. So please end this line with blank or end this line with the space. And you can see the example here. Okay, any doubts? Use shift enter to run a cell. Yes. And let's move to comments. I will teach you some stuff and then I'll take all the doubts at once. And you can always write your doubts in the chat box. There are other members of machine learning division who are there for solving your doubts. So coming to comments, comments are basically lines of text that are present in your program, but they have no significance in the output. They are just comments. They are used to make the code more readable, and they are used to make notes for programmers. They are used to explain code, but they have no significance in the output. So if I run this cell, the print statement got executed perfectly, but the comment did not show up in the output. So this is how you can make a comment. You just have to write a hash symbol, and everything after that will become a comment. You can also use multi-line comments in Python, and this is how you can do it. You can enclose your multi-line comment inside triple quotations, and it will become a comment. See, like this. Now I will tell you how you can use Python as a calculator. Although it is like using a sword in when you can get the thing done with a knife, but I want you to understand what operators are. So Python has seven major operators, and these four are very simple to understand. The fifth one is modulo. So modulo is basically the remainder that you get upon dividing two numbers, and this is the symbol for modulo, a percentage sign, and exponentiation is a to the power b, and integer division is, so whenever you divide two numbers, you are going to get an integer part and a fractional part. So when you neglect the fractional part and only keep the integer part, that is called integer division. So this is how you can use these operators. You can um, connect the numbers and variables with these operators, and running it will give you the result. Let me show you example of each of these operators. Remember how I told you we can print multiple things using the same print statement like this. And the first four are very obvious, not going to cover them. When you divide 3 by 2, you will get a remainder of 1. So that is why 1 got printed here. And 3 to the power 2 is 9. And 3, when you divide 3 by 2, you will get 1.5. But just neglect the 0.5 and you are going to get 1. So that is integer division. So till now we have studied what print statement is, and we learned three main things about the print statement. Then we saw what comments are in Python, and after that we saw how you can use Python as a calculator. Okay, so do you have any doubts till this point? If you don't have any doubts, then just type +1 in the chat. If you have doubts, then write your doubt in the chat. No doubts. Okay, I see a bunch of +1s. Great, great, great. तो आगे बढ़ते हैं अब, and let's start with variables. So variables are very important in any programming language. Variables क्या होता है ना, they are basically containers in which you can store data, and data here can be anything like a number, a name, a collection of numbers, a complex number, anything like that. Okay, so this is how you can define a variable, declare a variable in Python. You just have to write the name of variable you want to use, and you have to assign it a value like this, equal to, and whatever value you want to give. And Python is automatically going to determine the data type of that variable. We will talk about data types later. So I am going to define two variables. One is age, which is going to store a value of 20, and the other one is name, which is going to store a name, Rahul. Execute this. So now I have declared two variables, age and name. Let me show you how you can use them. So just notice that name here got replaced by the value stored inside it. नेम में कौन सा वैल्यू स्टोर था? राहुल। तो यहाँ राहुल प्रिंट हो गया। एंड एज में क्या स्टोर था? 20, सो 20 प्रिंट हो गया। अब वेरिएबल है तो वो चेंज भी होना चाहिए, राइट? सो यू कैन reassign a value to any variable like this. You all you have to do is just write the name of that variable and assign it a new value. So earlier age was 20 here, and now I am reassigning the value 25 to age. Now the age should be 25. Also, we can also increase the value of any variable by one, or change a variable with respect to itself somehow. And this is how we can do it. Suppose I want to increase the value of age by one. What I can do is I can write the syntax like this. So the age on the right hand side will get replaced by the value stored in it. So value was 25, and 25 plus 1 is 26. So now 26 will get reassigned to the same variable age. तो अब age का value हो जाएगा 26 when I run this. There is a shorthand also for age equal to age plus 1. What you can do is, instead of writing this big chunk of code, you can just write plus equal to 1. This is like a shortcut in Python, and it is present in most programming languages. So whenever you want to increase the value by 1 or 2, or multiply it, you can use this shorthand. Okay, and earlier the value of age was 26. Now we are increasing it by 1, so the value will become 27. कोई डाउट है? Okay, I don't think so you have any doubt. What is the name of this software? This is not a software, Sachin. ये this is Google Colab, right? I gave you the link in the description. Open the link in the description, and you can start using it in your browser only. So now let's come to assignment operators. जैसे ऊपर अभी असाइन किए थे कोई भी वैल्यू, there are more operators in the same category. So we have plus equal to 1, we have minus equal to 1, and we have many more. Okay, and if you have ever started programming in C++ or Java, you know that there is a increment operator and a decrement operator as well. So Python doesn't have this. So if you want to increase the value of variable by 1, you have to use plus equal to 1, and you don't have this increment operator in Python. Let me give you some more examples of assignment operators and the shortcut assignment operators, the shorthand notations. So here I defined a variable x equal to 10, and then I increased it by 1. So 11 will get printed, and that is exactly what got printed here. Now the value of x was 11, and then I decremented it. I decreased the value of x by 1. So now 10 got printed. Earlier it was 11, decreased it by 1, so 10 got printed. And now the value of x is 10, and I am multiplying it by 2 and storing it again in x. So now when I print x, 20 will get printed. So do you have any doubts till this point? Tell me. कोई डाउट नहीं है? Very good. And let's move to data types now. So we have a bunch of data types in Python. These are the 6 data types we are going to discuss in this session. So whenever you want to find the data type of a particular variable, what you can do is you can write type, and inside the bracket mention the name of that variable. तो इधर एज जो है, एज वाज अ वेरिएबल एंड एज का डेटा टाइप है इंट. इंट स्टैंड्स फॉर इंटीजर. I can also check the data type of name, and name has a data type of str, which stands for string. Okay, so let's see numbers in detail. This is how you can define different types of number. We have integers in Python, we have floats, and we even have complex numbers. So declaring it are very easy. तो वैसे डिक्लेयर कर सकते हैं x इक्वल 25 कर जाए तो वो इंटीजर डिक्लेयर हो गया एंड x में वैल्यू स्टोर हो गया 25, राइट. And you can again connect these variables with operators just like we did in case of numbers when using Python as a calculator, and the output will you will get the output. Now let's see the new data type, booleans. So booleans can take only two values, either a true or a false, and we use booleans to indicate values like variables like when you are comparing two numbers. Suppose you are comparing two numbers and you want to find out whether those numbers are equal or not. So the result will be either the numbers are equal or they are not equal. So you can use booleans for these binary decisions. And also, if a person can drive or not, he can either drive or he cannot drive. Or if a person is having fever, a person can either have fever or he won't have fever. So these things, which can have only two answers, we can use booleans to declare them. Coming to the next data type, which is very important, strings. And we have already used strings before when we were trying to print something. And this is the reason why I told you to enclose it inside double quotations or single quotations, because this is how you define strings. Whenever you want to define a string, which can be a word, a sentence, or an alphabet, you need to enclose it in quotations. So here I have defined two variables. One is hello, and the second one is world. And now I want to print these strings. Remember, the comma will be replaced by a space. So printing this will give me hello world. You can also combine strings just like we used operators on integers and numbers. So when you are combining two or more strings, it is called concatenation in Python. So here I am combining three different strings. The first one is hello, the second one is a space, and the third one is world. And then I am storing the new concatenated string in a different variable, which is C. So printing C will give me hello world. We can also have multi-line strings in Python, and this is how you can define them. Just like you define comments, you can enclose it in triple quotations, give it a name, and there you have a multi-line string. Find the length of a string. अगर पता लगाना है कि कितने कैरेक्टर्स हैं किसी भी स्ट्रिंग में, you can use this function, this len function, and inside the function you need to mention the name of variable, and you will get the length of string. And here we are getting the length of string and storing it in a variable called n. n का data type क्या होगा? Integer, right? Length is going to be an integer. So we see the length of this hello world string is 11. Python has a very amazing feature, and that is you can multiply strings with a number. Mostly high level languages में ये feature नहीं होता है, but Python has it, and that is why Python is very cool. So when you multiply a string with a number, the string gets repeated that number of times. So here I'm multiplying uh, equal to sign with n, and n में value क्या stored है? 11. So equal to is going to repeat 11 times. Equal to got printed 11 times, and then hello world was printed, and then again equal to was printed 11 times, right? This is the mean. And now let's see other methods, other functions which you can use on strings. So if you want to convert a string to uppercase, मतलब सारे letters को capital करना है अगर, तो you can do it very easily using a string name dot upper. And अगर किसी string को completely lower case में करना है, you can do it using this function called lower, this method called lower. B dot lower will convert everything to lowercase. And if you want to convert the first letter of every word to uppercase and other letters to lowercase, जैसे generally titles में लिखा होता है, then you can use the string name dot title and brackets. So you see every first letter got converted to uppercase and other letters are lowercase. इस पॉइंट तक कोई भी डाउट है क्या? वी हैव स्टडीड print statement comments, and then we studied operators, variables, and we have studied three data types: numbers, booleans, and strings. कोई भी डाउट है तो राइट इन द चैट बॉक्स, एंड अगर डाउट नहीं है तो राइट +1 इन द चैट बॉक्स. Is there no difference in Python for single quote or double quote? Yes, there is no difference between single quote and double quotes. You can use either of them for defining a string. What if we give double quotations for world also? Yes, we can do it. कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ेगा, सिंगल quotations यूज करो या डबल quotations यूज करो. They are the same thing in Python. मल्टी लाइन स्ट्रिंग एंड कमेंट्स का डिफरेंस नहीं पता चला सर. डिफरेंस है, but like just like I told you, this is when you're defining a multi-line string, you use triple quotations, and जब comments use कर रहे होते हो multi-line comments, then also you use triple quotations. You can use the same triple quotations for uh, comments and multi-line strings. Okay, I see many +1s. So let's come to the next part, which is typecasting. So typecasting means forcibly converting the data type of one variable to another one, right? तो अगर इंटीजर को कन्वर्ट करना है फ्लोट में, ज़बरदस्ती कन्वर्ट करना है, डिफाइन किया था हमने इंटीजर लेकिन उसको कन्वर्ट करना है फ्लोट में, या फिर फ्लोट है उसका डेसिमल को निकाल देना है एंड वी वांट टू कन्वर्ट इट इनटू एन इंटीजर, वी कैन डू इट यूजिंग टाइप कास्टिंग. So let us first declare a variable x equal to 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I want to convert it to a float. What I can do is I can write float, and inside the brackets you just write the name of whatever variable you want to convert, and it will get converted. Float underscore x is going to be a float type, and x was an integer, okay? And str underscore x is going to be a string. Let me execute this. अब इस क्वेश्चन का आंसर तुम लोग दो. What do you think will be the output of this cell when I run this cell? strx plus abcd. हाँ, correct. 1, 2, 3, 4 ABCD. Exactly. You got it right, because here 1, 2, 3, 4 is a string. strx is 1, 2, 3, 4 in string, and we are basically concatenating two strings. 1, 2, 3, 4 ABCD. Now we have a variable, we have a string 101, and we are converting it to an integer. Now int underscore y is going to be an integer. Now what do you think is going to be the output of this cell? Write in the chat box. सबको सही आंसर मिल गया. वेरी गुड. 1, 2, 3, 4 ABCD. Can we make only a part of string lowercase or uppercase? Yes, we can do it, but we are not going to cover it right now. We can do it. We can select individual letters and make it uppercase and lowercase. There are methods to do it. Like we can use string slicing and many more. And what other question is here? 202. Yes, 202. Right. It is possible. इट इज पॉसिबल स्ट्रिंग टू इंट इज पॉसिबल. लेकिन उसके लिए क्या होना पड़ेगा ना, स्ट्रिंग को कंप्लीटली नंबर्स का बना होना पड़ेगा. तो इफ आई हैव अ स्ट्रिंग विच इज कंप्लीटली मेड अप ऑफ नंबर्स, देन आई कैन कन्वर्ट इट टू एन इंटीजर. अगर इस पे एक भी लेटर होगा एंड देन आई ट्राई टू कन्वर्ट इट टू इंटीजर, तब ये एरर देगा. बट अदरवाइज यू कैन कन्वर्ट इट. Okay, so now let's see some more string functions. X is equal to 1 2 3 4. We defined a string which is completely made up of numbers. अगर पता लगाना है कि ये completely numbers से ही बना है क्या, तो we can use this method dot is numeric. So if I run this, it is going to return true. And if I want to check if a string is completely made up of alphabets, then what I can do is y dot is alpha and brackets. Again, it returned true. And if I want to check if a string consists of alphabets and numbers only, then what I can use is dot is al num. Al matlab alphabet, num matlab number. अगर इसमें एक हैश सिंबल डाल दिया जाए, तो this will become false because hash is a special character and it is not a string and not a number. There are many more built-in methods in Python. इसके लिए we are going to provide you with links if you want to read more about Python, understand more methods that we have. But right now we are not going to cover all of them due to limitation of time. Which platform are you using for coding? I am using Google Colab. Are these built-in functions or imported? These are built-in functions. Okay, we can import also. There are many libraries we can import, but ये जो है ना, capitalize, case fold, is num, is numeric, is alnum, these all are uh, present by default. We don't have to import anything. These are built-in. Can we take any other variable other than int y? Uh, I think you mean, I think you want to ask if we can name it something else. So yes, we can name it anything. You can name it y also. You can name it z. You can name it abcd. You can name it number. You can name it anything. Okay. And if you don't have any doubts, then write +1 in the chat and we will move forward. Is there any range for data types like int? Python में you can define an int as long as you want, I believe. You can define an integer of infinite length. मे बी राउंड ऑफ हो जाए वो बहुत टाइम के बाद, बट लिमिटेशन नहीं है ऐसा कुछ. वेरिएबल नेमिंग का लिमिटेशंस है. देयर आर मेनी लिमिटेशंस लाइक यू कैन नॉट यूज कीवर्ड्स. आई मीन कीवर्ड्स यूज कर सकते हो बट वो ओवरराइड हो जाएगा. सो इट इज नॉट एडवाइजेबल टू यूज रिजर्व कीवर्ड्स इन पाइथन, and you cannot start the variable name with a number. That is going to give you an error. And there are other conditions. You can find it on the internet. You cannot use space. Exactly, you cannot use space while naming a variable. Underscores are however allowed. You cannot use dot while naming a variable. Okay, I don't think there are any doubts. Let's move to the next topic, which is lists. This is very important. Okay, this is very important in Python, and this is very interesting also. So list, I'm just going to read the definition. List is a data structure. Data structure means something that you use for storing data, and it has all the built-in methods and everything in Python, which is mutable and ordered sequence of elements. ये दोनों words का meaning आगे मालूम पड़ेगा. And let's start by defining a list. Okay, so you can define a list in Python by literally making a list and enclosing it in these square brackets. लिस्ट के अंदर एलिमेंट्स डालो, सेपरेट देम विद कॉमास एंड enclose all of it inside these square brackets, and you have a list. So we are defining a list clubs which has four members, four values inside it. Let's print the list. Okay, so now I'm going to tell you how you can access the elements of a list. So indexing in Python starts with 0. So if you want to access the first element of a list, you need to access the uh, 0th index. Okay, and if you want to access the second element of a list, you need to access the first index. Okay, so these index, all these elements correspond to a particular index. Okay, so now I want to access the first item. I want to find out what the first item is in the list of clubs. To do that, I can simply write the name of that list, and inside these square brackets I need to mention the index that I want to access. 0 corresponds to the first value, and 1 corresponds to the second value. Okay, let me run this. You can also have negative indices in Python, and -1 basically means the last element, -2 will mean the second last element, -3 will mean the third element from the end, and so on. Okay, so you can have positive indices as well as negative indices in Python. Very cool. Not many languages support this. And you can also change a particular element. जैसे यहाँ पे roboism का spelling गलत हो गया था. I want to change it. So I just need to access that element and reassign it a value. जैसे variables में करते थे हम लोग, बिल्कुल same to same. And if I print the list now, see, the list got printed and the third element has changed. To find the length of a list, you can do it just like you did in case of strings, and clubs basically has four elements, so 4 got printed here. Now we are going to talk about list methods. अच्छा, एक्सेस करने में किसी को कोई डाउट है क्या? सर लिस्ट इज सेम एज अरे, कह सकते हैं, मतलब like what you use in C++ is array, and in Python it is list. It is similar but not exactly same. No ND lists. Okay, you have answered. uh, what element can be added to a list? You can make a list of any data type. So I can create a list of integers also, like this, and I can create a list of integers as well as strings and floating numbers and sentences, anything. I can combine anything. I can put anything inside the lists. Let's move forward to the inbuilt list methods we have in Python. So these are the functions which you can use for manipulating a list. Okay, so first we have append. Append means adding an item to the end of list. So if I want to add a new item to the list, at the end we can use clubs.append and the name of and the value of whatever element we want to add, and you see Mekismu got added at the end. I can also insert a particular element at at some position, and for that I need to use insert method, and inside the brackets of insert I need to mention the position at which I want to insert it and the value that I want to insert. So here I am trying to insert arca at the third index. थर्ड इंडेक्स पे क्या है अभी? थर्ड इंडेक्स पे ई सेल है 0 1 2 3. तो आरका विल बी इंसर्टेड बिटवीन रोबो आईएसएम एंड ई सेल एट द थर्ड इंडेक्स. इस पोजीशन पे आ जाएगा आरका. लेट मी रन दिस, and I can also extend a list. I can combine two lists using the extend method. So here I have a list of more clubs, which are the cultural clubs of IT ISM, and I want to include all these elements in the original list of clubs. And this is how I can do that using clubs.extend. And inside the brackets, I mention the name of the list that I want to add. So cultural clubs also got added to the original list, and you can count the number of occurrences of a value in the list using the count method. तो पता लगाना है अगर कि आर का कितनी बार आया है इस लिस्ट में, डुप्लीकेट्स भी है क्या आर का, तो वी कैन यूज डॉट काउंट मेथड like this. 2 got printed because arca is coming twice. Now I want to find arca की position क्या है लिस्ट में. So for that, I can use clubs.index and any value, and it is going to return me the index at which arca is occurring for the first time. So let's check. It resulted in 1, which means arca present होगा first index पे. 0 1 arca present है first index पे. Now I'm going to tell you how you can delete some value from the list. So you can use the list name dot pop method without any parameters, and this is going to delete the last element from list. And अगर कोई particular element निकालना है list से, so you can use list name dot pop, and inside the bracket you mention the position of that list. So I am going to remove the last element of this list, and also when I pop something, it is going to return me that value. Okay, and let's see clubs. पहले 2 एडीसी था लास्ट में इस लिस्ट के. नाउ वी हैव ओनली 1 एडीसी. वी कैन ऑल्सो रिमूव an element by value. So remember arca was occurring twice in the list, so now I am going to remove the first occurrence of arca using the dot remove method. ओके, अब आ जाते हैं डेफिनेशन पे लिस्ट के. सो लिस्ट पर म्यूटेबल का मतलब होता है कि आफ्टर क्रिएटिंग द ऑब्जेक्ट यू कैन चेंज इट टू समथिंग एल्स. जैसे कि रोबो आईएसएम पहले रॉब आईएसएम था, एंड वी चेंज्ड इट टू robo ISM. We can increase the length, we can add new elements, we can delete stuff from this list. That is why it is called mutable. And ordered matlab the order in the list matters. Okay, so ये order जो है ये same रहेगा हमेशा unless and until we change that order by ourselves, which we are going to do right now. We are going to reverse the order. So अभी का order देख लो. साइबर लैब्स पहले था, ADC लास्ट में था. Now we reverse the order. ADC पहले आ गया, साइबर लैब्स एंड में आ गया. Coming to the next part, sorting. So sorting is basically arranging the elements in ascending order or descending order. So in case of strings, sorting will mean arranging them in alphabetical order from A to Z. So let's use clubs.sort, and it is going to sort the list in alphabetical order. यहाँ तक कोई भी डाउट है किसी को? अगर डाउट नहीं है तो राइट +1 in the chat, and if you have doubt then write your doubt. Difference between pop and remove. So Pranav, with pop we can either remove the last element of a list. कहाँ गया pop? Yeah, so pop, I can either remove the last element of list, okay, or the element present at a particular position. So pop का यूज तब कर रहे हैं जब हम लोगों को किसी इंडेक्स से, हम लोगों को इंडेक्स पता है, जिस एलिमेंट को डिलीट करना है उस एलिमेंट का इंडेक्स पता है हम लोगों को, एंड देन वी वांट टू डिलीट दैट एलिमेंट, तो वी आर गोइंग टू यूज पॉप. एंड रिमूव हम लोग तब यूज करेंगे व्हेन वी नो द एलिमेंट, द वैल्यू ऑफ एलिमेंट दैट वी वांट टू रिमूव, एंड वी डोंट नो द पोजीशन ऑफ दैट वैल्यू. इसके अलावा क्या कर सकते हैं हम लोग, वी कैन फाइंड द इंडेक्स ऑफ दिस एलिमेंट एंड देन यूज पॉप टू रिमूव इट, और वी कैन यूज द रिमूव मेथड टू डायरेक्टली रिमूव इट. सर, हाउ टू चेक द पोजीशन ऑफ सेकंड अकरेंसेस? डीएसए का प्रॉब्लम है ये, मालूम पड़ेगा तुम लोगों को बाद में. And any other doubts? Okay, so I think we can move forward. Coming to list slicing. Okay, so here I have a list of numbers from 1 to 10, and you see that I have also mentioned the indices of all the elements. And now I'm going to tell you what slicing means. So slicing का मतलब होता है selecting a segment, a particular segment of list, like not a particular element, an entire segment, multiple elements को एक साथ select करना है, तो उसको slicing बोलते हैं Python में. So you see the syntax: list name, start index, stop index, and step. Let me tell you, if you want to select these three elements from this list A, then क्या करना होगा, ये 3 किस पोजीशन पे आ रहा है, 3 आ रहा है सेकंड पोजीशन पे, एंड 5 आ रहा है फोर्थ पोजीशन पे. सो वी नीड टू सिलेक्ट एवरीथिंग फ्रॉम सेकंड इंडेक्स टू फोर्थ इंडेक्स. बट क्या होता है पाइथन में, द स्टॉप इंडेक्स इज एक्सक्लूसिव. So अगर if I select from 2 to 4, then 4 will not be included. If I select from 2 to 5, then 5 will not be included. So we are going to select everything from 2 to 5 because the stop index in Python is exclusive. जिस भी इंडेक्स तक सिलेक्ट करना है, you increase that index by 1 and then put it at the stop index position. So A2 colon 5 return me the sliced list, this segment of list 3, 4, and 5. If I skip the stop index, then everything till the end of list will be selected. And if I skip the first index, the start index, then everything from the beginning will be selected. Okay. Like this. So here I selected everything from the fifth element onwards. I mean fifth index onwards. So fifth index corresponded to 6. तो 6 से लेके 10 तक सब कुछ सिलेक्ट हो गया. एंड यहाँ पे सिलेक्टेड एवरीथिंग till fifth index, and the stop index is exclusive, so we selected everything till the fourth index. So 0 से लेके 4 तक, like 1 से लेके 5 तक सब कुछ सिलेक्ट हो गया. And what if you don't include either the stop index or the start index, then everything in the list will get selected. This is actually used for making list copies, which we are again not discussing because of time constraint. So what if I want to select only the even elements from this list? Like I want to select only 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. I can do that using this step feature we have in list slicing. तो हम लोग स्टार्ट कर रहे हैं फर्स्ट पोजीशन पे. We are starting at this position and we are stopping at the last position, 10. I mean 9 plus 10, because the end index is 9 plus 1, which is 10, because the end index is exclusive. So we are selecting from 1 to 10 and we are taking steps of 2. 2 के बाद वो 4 पे जाएगा, 4 के बाद 6 पे जाएगा, right? This is going to select all the even elements, and this is going to select all the odd elements, because remember I told you, if I don't include the start and stop index, the entire list will get selected. Entire list means starting from 0, ending at 10, and taking steps of 2. 1357, these things are going to be selected. And this is like an Easter egg in Python. So this can be used to reverse the ordering of list. Okay, just remember this. You don't have to get the intuition behind this. Just remember that colon colon minus one will reverse a Python list. And strings are just like lists. So in the same way, like we sliced lists, we can slice strings also. Suppose I want to select hello from this string. I can do that by selecting everything from the beginning. Remember, I skipped the start index till the fifth index: 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But end index is exclusive, so this is not going to be selected. It will select till fourth index only. Hello select हो गया, and now I want to select world. W comes at the sixth index, and I want to select everything from sixth index till the end of the list. So world got selected. Do you have any doubts till this point? If you don't have any doubts, then write +1 in the chat. If you have doubts, then write your doubts in the chat. कोलोन कोलोन टू नहीं समझा सर. ओके, कोलोन कोलोन टू में क्या हो रहा है? दिस इज लाइक वी आर सिलेक्टिंग एवरीथिंग फ्रॉम द बिगिनिंग टिल द एंड ऑफ लिस्ट. तो इसमें क्या होगा? स्टार्ट हुआ 0 पे एंड एंड होने वाला है ये 10 पे. ओके, पूरा लिस्ट सिलेक्ट होने वाला है. तो स्टार्ट हुआ 0 पे एंड देन 2 स्टेप लिया वो, 1 2. सेकेंड इंडेक्स पे जो भी एलिमेंट था उसको सिलेक्ट किया गया. देन वापस से 2 स्टेप्स लिया, 1 2. 5 सिलेक्ट हुआ, वापस 2 स्टेप्स लिया, 7 सिलेक्ट हुआ, लाइक दिस. ओके, कोलोन कोलोन इसलिए हुआ क्योंकि आई नेग्लेक्टेड द I skipped the start index and I skipped the end index, because if I skip these, the entire list will get selected. I use this for demonstrating that you can use colon colon successively also. Okay, +1 +1, बहुत सारे +1 आ गए, सबको समझ आ गया. वेरी गुड. What if I miss out a club unknowingly and want to check if I did? You can check the count, right? And you can, I will show you this when we reach conditionals. Okay, you can check if a particular element is present in the list or not. And right now you can just check the count of that club. तो अगर कोई क्लब नहीं है इसमें तो उसका काउंट 0 होगा, राइट? एंड उसके अलावा भी एक मेथड है, बहुत सिंपल मेथड है. वी विल टॉक अबाउट इट व्हेन वी स्टार्ट कंडीशनल्स. ओके, वेरी क्विकली, टुपल्स क्या होते हैं? टुपल्स आर just like list, similar to list, but once you create a tuple, you cannot change it in any way. इसका लेंथ चेंज नहीं होगा, इसके एलिमेंट्स चेंज नहीं होंगे, कुछ भी चेंज नहीं होगा इसमें. सो वी डिफाइंड अ लिस्ट, वी डिक्लेयर्ड अ tuple, sorry, not list, and we can access the elements in the same way using square brackets, and but we cannot change it. So this is going to give me an error. टूपल समझ आ ही गया होगा, बहुत सिंपल है. कोई डाउट है टूपल में किसी को? यस, इम्यूटेबल. टूपल्स आर इम्यूटेबल. हाउ टू चूज इवन नंबर्स? अगर लास्ट में टाइम बचा ना तो आई विल कवर इट. ओके, आई प्रॉमिस. बट वी हैव टू कवर अ लॉट ऑफ एलिमेंट्स. आई हैव नोटेड योर डाउट. Even elements, I will cover it at the end. Okay, let's move forward to the next data type, and these are dictionaries. Okay, so dictionaries are like a table. Okay, so in table we have a key and we have a value. Okay, earlier dictionaries used to be unordered, but after Python version 3.7, dictionaries are also ordered. Okay, so let me declare a dictionary, and this is how you can declare a dictionary. You need to write the key, and after that you need to put a colon, and then you need to write the value that key is going to contain. Okay, so इधर key act कर रहा है as the index. Okay, and then you separate all these key value pairs with commas, and you enclose everything within these curly braces, and let's declare it, and let's print it. Okay, superheroes got all the elements got printed here. Now to access a particular element, you can do it just like lists, but here you have to provide the key instead of index. So if I access Spider-Man, Peter Parker got printed. And if I want to access another, there's another way to access elements, and that is using the dot get method. It behaves similarly, just in the same way as the square brackets behave. We can change the element, we can change a particular value in a dictionary by reassigning it a different value like this. And we can add a new key value pair by using basically the same syntax, just like we change the elements. So here we have defined, here we have added a new element, a new key value pair, Hulk. Hulk is the key and Bruce Banner is the value it contains. And there is another method to update lists. And using this, we can make changes to key value pairs, and we can also add new ones like this. Okay. So here I added a new element, new key value pair, Black Panther, and I changed the value of Hulk from Bruce Banner to Robert Bruce Banner. Now let's see how you can access the different things of a dictionary. So we can access all the keys. We can get the list of all keys using dot keys method. We can get the list of all the values present in the list using dot values, and we can get all the key values key value pairs in the form of tuples like this. Okay, and this is how you can delete an item from a dictionary. So you can use dot pop to delete a particular key value pair, and you can use dict.pop item to delete the last inserted element, and you can use dictionary name dot clear to delete everything from the list, in from the dictionary, sorry, not lists. So here I removed Hulk. Okay, अभी तक डेटा टाइप्स में, स्ट्रिंग्स में, नंबर्स में, डिक्शनरीज में, लिस्ट्स में, टुपल्स में कोई भी डाउट है तो राइट इन द चैट बॉक्स, एंड इफ यू डोंट हैव एनी डाउट, एवरीथिंग इज क्लियर, राइट +1 इन द चैट. Will libraries be covered today? Yes, yes. Libraries will be covered. NumPy and Pandas will be covered. Stay tuned. +1, +1. Very good. So coming to conditions, you can compare two numbers and two objects, basically any two things in Python using the comparison operators. And also note that to compare two things and check whether these two things are equal, I need to use double equal sign. Don't use single equal sign. If you use single equal sign, b का value a को assign हो जाएगा. Okay, use double equal sign, and this is the symbol for not equal to. तो check करना है कि a b के equal नहीं है, then we use exclamation mark and equal to, and these are normal ones, greater than equal to. You know about these. So let's check is if 5 is equal to 6. नहीं होता है, obviously false. And let's check if 4 plus 4 is equal to 8. True. Okay. Now let's move forward to the if statement, which is condition. Okay, conditionals. So if statement, in if statement we basically have a condition, and if the condition is true, then something gets done. Okay, something, the block of code inside the if statement gets executed, and otherwise nothing is going to happen. So I can show this with an example. Let's define a variable a equal to 12, and suppose you want to check कि a बड़ा है क्या 10 से. तो अगर a बड़ा है 10 से तो do something, do this, print greater than 10. Okay, This got printed because a is greater than 10. It is true. Now let's check if a is not equal to 10. 12 10 के equal नहीं है तो ये भी execute होगा. And now let's check if a is equal to 10. 12 10 के equal नहीं है तो ये execute नहीं होगा. Okay. So this is how you can use if statements. Coming to indentations, so you see this gap I have put before print inside the if. This is called indentation in Python, and ये काम करता है curly brackets का. Like in other languages like C, C++, Java, and all. So Python में we don't have curly braces for defining the scope. We use indentation. So if two blocks have same indentation, if two statements have the same indentation, it means they are part of the same block. जैसे कि if I want to print the value of a also, only when a is equal to 10, and then how is Python going to know that whether we want to do this, if this is true or not? ये तो हमेशा print हो रहा है. So if I put it with some spaces behind it, then Python will know that these two things are part of this if statement. So these two things are going to run only when the condition is true. Okay. I hope you understand. And समझ नहीं आ रहा हो ये part तो भी कोई बात नहीं, because I know it is a little difficult to understand for beginners. And समझ आ गया indentation क्या होता है तो write +1 in the chat. And समझ नहीं आया तो I will explain it once again. I'll try to explain it once again. Understood. Very good. बेसिकली सेम ब्लॉक में जो भी चीजें हैं उसको हम लोग सेम इंडेंटेशन के साथ यूज करेंगे, राइट? कमिंग टू इफ एल्स स्टेटमेंट, तो यहाँ पे तो कुछ हुआ ही नहीं, कंडीशन फॉल्स था. सो इफ आई वांट टू डू समथिंग व्हेन द कंडीशंस आर फॉल्स, देन वी कैन यूज इफ एल्स स्टेटमेंट. So age equal to 21, and if age greater than 18, then you can vote. Otherwise, you cannot vote. Okay, this is how you can use else, if else statement. 18 से बड़ा है एज अभी तो you can vote. Let's make it 17 and then run it. So now the else statement got printed. Else, whatever was written in the else block got printed. Let's define a variable jackpot, and if the jackpot is 666, then we won the jackpot. Okay, and let's define a boolean. Okay, now we are going to use a boolean. We haven't used boolean जब से define किया है उसको, जब से बताया boolean क्या होता है. So there is a boolean can drive and it is true. So if can drive is true, then you can drive. Okay. And now coming to if else statement. So what if we want to check multiple conditions at once? So we had a condition, and if it was true, I instructed Python to do this. Otherwise, else plus if the condition was not true, then check if condition 2 is true. If it is true, then do this. Otherwise, check if the next condition 3 is true. If it is true, then do this. Otherwise, check. Otherwise, everything was false. So execute the else statement. Everything written in the else block. Okay. So we have written a program to check if to find the number of digits in a number. Let's execute this. So if a number is less than 10, then it is a single digit number. If it is not less than 10, मतलब वो 10 या 10 से बड़ा है, and it is less than 100, मतलब वो 2 digit का है, and so on for 3 digit, and for more than 3 digit. If कोई भी condition अगर true नहीं हुआ यहाँ पे, then it is going to print more 3 digits. Now let's come to and or operators. These are called logical operators, and these are used to combine two or more numbers. is between 20 and 30. What I can do is I can use this if elif block. ओके, पहले चेक करेंगे 2 से बड़ा है, 20 से छोटा है, देन 30 से छोटा है, एंड अगर दोनों कंडीशन ट्रू हो रहा है तो यस. और व्हाट आई कैन डू इज आई कैन कंबाइन दीज टू स्टेटमेंट्स विथ एन एंड. जैसे इंग्लिश में होता है, इफ दिस इज ट्रू एंड दिस इज ट्रू, then do this. Okay, so I am going to give you another example and show you, demonstrate how easy it gets when you use and or operators. So this is a very complex program. We are checking if a person can marry or not. I guess कुछ दिन पहले laws change हो गया है इसका. Anyways, so if gender is male, then this entire block is going to cover it. Okay, and also we are having double indentations here, right? So if gender is male, check if the age is greater than 21. If it is, then he can marry, otherwise he can't marry. Otherwise, check if the gender is female, and if the age is greater than or equal to 18, then she can marry, otherwise she can't marry. This is going to give the right result, but I want to somehow compress it. Okay, so you're going to use and or operators, logical operators. So I am going to check whether this is true or this is true. इन दोनों में से अगर एक भी ट्रू होगा तो the if statement is going to execute the block inside it. So if gender is male and age is greater than or equal to 21, या तो ये ट्रू हो जाए, अदरवाइज और gender is equal to female and age is greater than or equal to 18, या तो ये ट्रू हो जाए. In both cases the person can marry, otherwise he or she can't marry. And the last thing about if statements, so this was asked by someone also in the chat. What if I want to check if a particular element, if a particular value is present in the list? I can do it like this. So I defined a list of fruits, and now I want to check if grapes are present in this list. I will simply write just like in English, if grapes in fruits. If grapes are present in fruits, then print grapes are present, otherwise print grapes are not present. एक और एग्जांपल दिखा देते हैं इसका, banana. So if banana is present in fruit, okay, this thing got printed, right? Change it to older one, grapes. I hope यहाँ तक कोई doubt नहीं होगा. And if you have any doubt, write your doubt in the chat. Otherwise, write +1 in the chat. Okay, someone has asked doubt about indentation. Are they same as curly braces? Yes. Indentations are just like curly braces. +1, +1, +1. Very good. Very good, very good. सब कुछ समझ आ रहा है तुम्हें? Great. So we need to cover these things very fast, okay? So let's see what looping means in programming. So when you want to do something repeatedly, suppose you want to do something 100 times, you cannot write the same code 100 times. You will use some kind of shortcut. You are going to use looping. Okay, so there are two kinds of loops in Python. We are going to discuss both of them. So let's start with for loop. तो for loop generally use करते हैं हम लोग when we want to repeat something for a fixed number of times, or we want to repeat for every element present in a list or a tuple. Okay, so let's start with an example. Suppose I want to print every element present in clubs, the old list, on different lines. So for club in clubs, तो club जो है ना, this club variable is going to take every value one by one which was present in the list clubs. Okay, and another example, for x in fruits, print x is a fruit. So now x is going to take the value of every fruit every element which was present in this list. We can do the same for strings. So for ch in hello world, मतलब अब ch क्या करेगा? Ch is going to attain all the characters which are present in this string one by one, and we are again going to multiply strings. Okay, so I wanted to multiply every character 5 times and print it on different lines. So this is how I can do it in Python. For ch in hello world means for every character in hello world, do something, do this inside whatever is written inside the for loop. Another example for dictionary, for hero in superheroes. So this is going to give me all the keys that were present in superheroes, and I can access the values present at those keys using this square brackets like this. तो for loop में अभी तक कोई डाउट है? अच्छा, let me complete for loop and then I'll take your doubts. Okay, so what if you want to run something precisely 10 times? Okay, you want to print all the numbers from 0 to 9. Okay, so you can use the range object in Python. So range has similar syntax just like slicing. So we have a start and we have a stop and we have a step. Okay, so start is like from what value we are going to start, and stop is at what value we are going to end. And again, stop is exclusive in Python. So the range is not going to go till 10, it is going to end just before 10 at 9. Okay, so this thing for I in range 0 to 10 is like take all the values. I is going to take all the values from 0 till 9, something like this for I in this list of 0 to 9. Okay, let's print all the elements, all the numbers from 0 to 9. And when I'm starting with 0, I can exclude the start index, and it will start from 0. So range 10 is similar to range 0 comma 10. And I can also use steps here. So suppose I want to print odd elements till 10. I can use it using this syntax for x in range 1, 10 and take steps of 2. एकदम स्लाइसिंग के जैसा है, कोई डिफरेंस नहीं है यहाँ पे. तो वो स्टार्ट करेगा 1 पे, देन वो 2 से इंक्रीज करेगा उसको हर लूप में, राइट? 3 आ गया, फिर 3 को 2 से इंक्रीज किया, 5 आ गया, लाइक दिस. Now for I am going to show you another way of accessing the elements of a list. What you can do is run a loop from 0 till the length of a particular list, and then you can access those elements, the elements of that list using the square brackets like this. So यहाँ पे I वैल्यूज लेगा 0 से लेके 3 तक, 0 1 2 3, एंड फ्रूट्स पोजीशन 0 पे कौन सा एलिमेंट था, दीज थिंग्स आर गोइंग टू गेट प्रिंटेड सिमिलरली. ओके, यहां तक कोई डाउट किसी को? Okay, so let's see what break statement is in Python. So break statements are used for stopping the loop earlier. okay, कभी कभी होता है कि कोई पर्टिकुलर कंडीशन सेटिस्फाई हो गया तो हम लोगों को लूप से बाहर निकलना है, रन नहीं करना है लास्ट तक लूप, या फिर कोई एरर आ गया, थिंग्स लाइक दैट. So we can use break. So this loop was originally supposed to run from 0 to 9, but now I want to break it when I becomes 5. तो ये जैसे ही I equal to 5 होगा, this is going to break outside the loop. And continue is like जैसे ही continue आया when a certain condition was met and continue statement was called, so Don't do anything that is below the continue statement and start the loop again with the next I. Okay. So here it was supposed to run from 0 to 9, but I have set a condition that जैसे ही I divisible हो जाएगा 3 से, and this is how you can check whether a number is divisible by 3 or any number or not. अगर उस नंबर को डिवाइड करने पे 3 से रिमाइंडर 0 आ रहा है, then it is divisible by 3, right? Then continue, which means don't run this, don't run anything that is below continue, and start the loop again with the next number in the range. This is going to print everything except numbers which are divisible by 3. So 0 nahi aaya, 3 nahi aaya, and 6 nahi aaya, 9 nahi aaya, right? Now I'm going to show you a program uh, which is going to print all the even numbers from 1 to 20. So for I in range 1 to 21, why I'm using 21? Because the stop index is exclusive, right? So this loop will go from 1 to 20. And if I is divisible by 2, if I modulo 2, if the remainder upon dividing I by 2 is 0, then print I. Okay, all the even elements got printed from 1 to 20. Now, very important question. I want to check if 59 is a prime number. Going back to the basics, कोई भी number prime कब होता है? When the number of factors it has are 2. Okay, तो basically one एक factor होगा और वो number खुद एक factor होगा. So to do this, let's define a variable factors and assign it the value 0. And now we will go from 1 till 59, right? And check if 59 is divisible by any of these numbers. अगर divisible है तो factor होगा वो, ठीक है? Obvious है, अगर divisible हो गया 59 उस I से, then I is a factor of that number 59. तो factors को increase कर दो 1 से. Write in the chat what else can we do instead of writing factors equal to factors plus 1. कोई shorthand है क्या इसका 1 से increase करने के लिए? Write in the chat box. And then we will check if the number of factors, if factors is equal to 2, and if it is equal to 2, then it is a prime number, otherwise it is not a prime number. Easy to understand? यहाँ तक सब कुछ समझ आ गया तो write in the chat box +1, otherwise write your doubt. Plus equal to 1. Very good. It means you guys remember. Okay, +1. Right. Now I'll tell you about the while loop. Okay. While loop क्या होता है? While loop is going to run until and unless the condition we have provided does not become false. Okay. And while loop में ऐसा नहीं होता है कि you can run only a limited number of times. You can run infinite times जब तक वो condition met नहीं होगा, right? जब तक ये condition जो है वो false नहीं होगा. So let's define a variable n equal to 0 and let's print n till the time n is less than 10. Okay. And we are also going to increase n by 1 every time. Otherwise n कभी 10 के आसपास पहुंचेगा ही नहीं, 0 ही रहेगा. अगर ये line नहीं होता है यहाँ पे, then n is equal to 0 while 0 is less than 10. It is true, 0 is always less than 10. So we also need to increment the value of n manually. So let's run this. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 and everything got printed till 9. जैसे यहाँ पे 9 हुआ होगा, when n was 9 and 9 got printed, then we incremented by 1. So n is now 10 and 10 is not less than 10. So we exited out of the loop. Okay. Similarly, it is not necessary to only use +1 or like only plus or use minus 1. We can also divide things. We can basically use any condition, okay? And we can operate with these numbers in any way we like. So here I am dividing, I'm doing integer division of this number n. And by the way, if you don't know, this method is used for finding nth digit, I mean, finding the individual digits of a number, okay? We have a very simple way of doing that in Python, but in other languages, this is how you find the individual digits of a number. ओके सो अगर while loop समझ आ गया तो write +1 in the chat, otherwise write your doubt. 60 is not included, okay? When I'm running the loop from 1 to 60, when I'm using range 1 till 60, then 60 will not be included, okay? The loop will run from 1 till 59 only. 1 is included, the start is included, but the stop is not included, okay? I see a bunch of plus ones. Okay, let's move forward to functions. And we are short of time, so let me cover this very quickly. So functions are these blocks of code inside Python, which we can reuse multiple times, and a function runs only when it is called. I'll explain what calling a function means, okay? So let me first tell you how you can define a function. To define a function, you need to write def. Def stands for define, and then you write the name of a function, and then you put these two brackets at the end, okay? And then you put a colon, and just like for and if, you need to put it under indentation, okay? So I have defined a function to print hello world. If I run this cell, nothing is going to get printed. Why? Because I need to call the function, and calling function means basically means using the function. So this is how you can call a function. You need to write the name of function and then open and closing brackets. This is how you can call a function. So hello world print ho gaya because we asked Python to do whatever is written inside the function hello. Now let's see a more complex function, special hello. And inside this special hello, we are also taking an argument. Name जो है argument होता है, right? You can also use parameter for the same. They are usually used interchangeably. So name is, you can call either a parameter or an argument. So what we are doing is we are using name, the argument name, inside the function, right? Let's define this function. And now whenever I want to call the function, I need to pass this name, right? So I'm passing Rohit inside this special hello, and output इसका होना चाहिए hello Rohit. The expected output is hello Rohit, and hello Rohit got printed. Okay, यहाँ तक कोई डाउट नहीं है ना functions में? Double equal to was integer division. Double equal to is integer division. Double slash, sorry, not equal to, double slash r is integer division. Okay, +1, yeah. Quickly, I am going to cover this. Extra special hello, okay? So here we are taking multiple inputs, multiple arguments. Let me remove this false first, and I'll tell you about it later. So, and I am going to do something complex inside this, okay? To demonstrate that you can do basically anything inside the functions. So I'm checking if the gender is male, then I want to print hello Mr. whatever the name is. And otherwise, else if the gender is female and marital status is false, then I need to print Miss name. Or if both of these conditions are false, then I want to print hello Mrs. and whatever the name is. Okay. So now I'm going to run this function, call this function, and hello Mr. Rohit got printed. And also note that I passed these multiple arguments in the same order like I defined it here in the definition of function. This is called function definition. And this is like I'm calling the function and passing all the parameters, arguments. So I need to put all the parameters in the same order, just like I did when I was defining the function. And I can also change the order, but then I have to precisely tell Python that I want to pass male as the gender, I want to pass Mohit as the name, like this. I need to use the same keywords that I used in the definition, and I need to assign them values like this. Okay. And let's check for females also. The function is working. And now I just wanted to point out that you can also have default arguments. Like if I don't provide this marital status argument inside uh, when I'm calling the function, then it is automatic. Python is automatically going to assign it a value of false. Okay. Let me execute this first, and all these things will run similarly. But if I don't include the last argument, marital status, then Python will assume it to be false. Returned. Okay. Very quickly, I am going to cover this return part. So functions can also return something. So suppose I want to create a function which will return me the sum of two numbers. Return you will understand when I demonstrate. So now I can use syntax like this, because when I'm adding two numbers, I am going to get the sum of it. The function is returning a particular value. It is going to return me an integer or a float, and then I can store it in some other variable. Here, the function was not returning anything. It was just printing something and doing conditions, checking condition and printing something. Here, however, I am returning something. Okay. So addition of these numbers will get printed. And this is the last part. So I'm going to make a function to check if a particular number is prime or not. And I am taking the number n as the argument. This is the same function that I used above, but what I'm doing here is, instead of printing that the number was uh, a prime number or not, I'm going to return true or false. Okay. So if the number of factors is equal to 2, then I'll return true, otherwise I'll return false. And also anything below return does not get executed in Python. So if I write anything below it, this thing is not going to get executed. Okay. Just as a note I told you. So let's define this function and check if 59 is a prime number. Okay, so 59 is indeed a prime number, just like we checked earlier. And now suppose I want to check, I want to print all the numbers from 0 to 50, all the numbers which are less than 50, all the prime numbers which are less than 50, I want to print them. Then I can use this. See how simple the syntax has become. And otherwise, I would have to do uh, multiple indentations and make this thing a little more complex. But with functions, I solved this problem very elegantly. Right? So all the numbers less than 50, all the prime numbers less than 50 got printed. Now again, if I want to count the number of prime numbers less than 100, I can do this. I can define a variable count and assign it a value 0. Then I can run a loop from 1 to 100. And then if it is prime, and remember, I don't really have to check if is prime I is true or not, because the function is returning a boolean only. So if के अंदर यहाँ पे जो है एक true या false condition आना चाहिए, तो वो तो function return कर ही रहा है true या false. Let me execute this, and the number of prime numbers got printed. Do you have any doubts till now? Right, +1. Yes, we can have infinite loop. Shubham, if I write while true, then that will become an infinite loop. लेकिन उसको break करना पड़ेगा खुद से whenever some condition is met. Return is only used with functions. Yes. Plus one, सब कुछ समझ आ गया. So because of the time constraint, I won't be able to cover classes, and also it will be a little difficult to understand because this comes under object oriented programming. So okay, I'll just define what a class is and then leave it. You can read it from the collab notebook yourself, and you can run the code yourself. Okay, so class, everything in Python is an object. Okay, the integer, almost everything is an object in Python, because Python is an object oriented language, and class is like a blueprint to define that object. So if you want to make an object, a custom object in Python, you need to define a class. Okay, suppose I want to create a custom object for uh, coordinates. Okay, to define the coordinates of a point. For that, I can use this syntax. I can define a class point, and inside the class, I can have two variables, x and y. This is how I defined my own custom data type. Point is my own custom data type, and uh, I can make an object p, which is a point. Let me show you the data type of this p. So p is my own data type point. Okay, and I can change the value of x and y like this, and I won't be able to cover these parts because of the time constraint. I You can go through this later. And now I want is Rehan present in the meet? Rehan?
Yeah, I'm in the meet.
Yes. So I'm going to stop the screen share and Rehan will be explaining. Acha, do you have any doubts till this point? No, no? Okay, you don't have any doubts. So let me give the control to Rehan. Rehan is also a second year member of machine learning division from Cyber Labs, and he will be teaching you NumPy and Pandas.
So is my screen visible?
Yes, it is visible, Rehan.
Uh, can you guys hear me? If you can hear me, write +1 in the chat. So okay, cool. So my name is Mohammed Rehan, and I'll be taking the session for NumPy and Pandas. So bunch of +1. So we are good to go. So first of all, what is NumPy actually, and why are we studying it for machine learning? So NumPy stands for numerical Python, and it is the main library which we will be using for doing scientific computation in Python. And in machine learning, as we'll progress, you will know that there is a lot of use of matrices, and there is high end calculation which we need to perform using matrices, and that's where NumPy comes in handy. So for progressing in the field of machine learning, we must know NumPy, and it is very helpful. So now we know the importance of NumPy in machine learning. We can dive straight into the tutorial. So first of all, I need to install NumPy. The there is a link in the description of NumPy plus Pandas collab notebook. You guys can access the collab notebook from there if you want to do it with me. So now first of all, to use NumPy, we need to install the NumPy package. So the command which we'll be using is the pip install command. So it goes like this. First of all, I have to write an exclamation mark, then pip, then space, then install, again space, and then the name of the library, which is NumPy here. So if I execute this will show me requirement already satisfied, because the package NumPy is already pre-installed with Collab, so we don't need to use this command. But if you are using some other IDE, you will have to install NumPy explicitly. Now we have installed NumPy package, so we can import NumPy in our environment. To do this, we can use this command, which is import space NumPy, which is a library, space as np. So what it does is it will import the NumPy library in our environment, and we can access it using np. So we are just giving it a nickname. We are giving it NumPy a sort of a nickname, np, and from now on, if I'll use np anywhere, it will be referring to NumPy. So hope you guys have understood this. So if I execute this, it will import NumPy in our environment. Now moving on to arrays. So array is a very important feature which is available in NumPy, and we can do a lot of operation using arrays, NumPy arrays. And array is somewhat very similar to what we did with list in Python, but it is much more powerful, and there are some differences. So let me give you a formal definition. A NumPy array is a grid of values, all of the same type, and is indexed by a tuple of non-negative integer. So the first and the foremost difference between a NumPy array and a list is that a NumPy array should contain the values of the same type. So as you have seen that in list we can have values of different data type, but in NumPy arrays we can have values of a single data type. And our NumPy array is very much powerful, and we can do a lot of insane operation using NumPy arrays. So we have talked about NumPy arrays, so let's create one. So the command for creating a NumPy array is very simple. We first have to give the name, which is arr here, followed by an equal to sign, followed by np, which is a library dot array. So the function which we will be using to create an array will be dot array, followed by parentheses, and within these parentheses I'll be storing the content of the array. So if I execute this and print our array, this will give me a list, an array having 1 2 3 4 5 as its content. So the creation of an array is pretty simple. We just need to call this function np.array, and within the parentheses I'll have to write the content of the array. So if you guys have understood how to create an array, write +1 in the chat. Or if you have any doubt, you can write it in the chat box. Yeah. So +1. Okay, cool. So moving on, a very important attribute of any NumPy array is its shape. As the name suggests, it will be returning a tuple. So one thing which you have to keep in mind is it will return a tuple, and each element of the tuple will indicate the number of elements in that dimension. So the definition is pretty complex, but if I'll use this command, you'll get the intuition. So if I'm printing arr.shape, this will give me a tuple having a single element, which is 5. So what does this indicate? It will indicate that I have I have a single element. This means that the my array is only one dimensional. As you can see, 1 2 3 4 5, it is a single dimensional array, and 5 indicates the number of elements in that dimension. So there are only 5 elements in it. So how can we index or access elements of an array? So the indexing and accessing elements of NumPy array is very similar to what we did with list. The indexing here is also with zero based indexing, which means that the first element will be at index 0, the second element will be at index 1, and so on. So if I print arr 0, So this will give me the first element. And if I print ARR3, this will give me the fourth element. So as you can see, 1 and 4 are printed. Now we can also change the elements of an array in NumPy. So, so my array is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And if I do this, if I change the element at index 1 to 9, and I'll print this array. So can you write in the chat box what will be the final array which will be printed? So our array is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I change the value at index 1 to 9. So what will be the final array which will be printed? Yes, Pranjali, you are correct. The array will be 19345. Very good, very good. So I hope everyone is clear with shape of the array, indexing, NumPy array, creation of array. So far we have discussed only one dimensional array, and we can create very high dimensional array using NumPy. Due to time constraint, I'll be discussing only 2D arrays as of now, but you are free to play around with any number of dimensions of array. So to create a 2D array, we'll follow the same format. I'll name it as B equals to np.array, which is my function, and within these parentheses, I'll enclose another parenthesis, and I'll pass three lists. So what these three lists mean? This will mean the number of rows which I'm inserting. So I'm inserting three lists which are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So this means that my array will have three rows, and the number of elements in each list, which are 4, will indicate the number of columns in my array. So if I print this, this will look something like this, a sort of a 3 by 4 dimensional matrix having 3 rows and 4 columns. Now if I print its shape, so this will give me a tuple containing 3 comma 4. So there are two elements in this tuple, which means my array is two dimensional. As you all can see, there are rows and columns, so my array is two dimensional, and this 3 indicates that there are 3 rows, and 4 indicates there are 4 columns. So I hope you guys have understood this. So there is one more simple command which we can use to know the dimension of any array. So which is .endim. So first we have to write the name of the array, followed by a dot, and followed by endim. So this will give me the dimension of the array, which is 2 here. Now if we want to access the elements of a 2D array, it works pretty similar to what we did with 1D array. There is one more index which we have to add, and the indexing works row wise and column wise. So let me explain it with you and explain it with an example. See, B03 means that the element it in 0th row, which means the first row, and 3 here indicates the indexing column wise. So 3 will mean that in the fourth column. So if I read it completely, I want to get the element at first row and fourth column, which is 4 here. So it will print 4. I hope you have understood this. So moving on, I have one question for you. So this is the array B 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. This is a 3 comma 4 dimensional array, and you have to guess the output if I print B1 2. Try to guess it in the chat box. Guess it in the chat box. So yes, Abhinav, Shresh, Nilakshi, you are all correct. So it will print 7. How? Let me explain it to you. So 1 will be indicating the row number. So we are using zero based indexing. So 1 will be indicating that the row we are looking for is the second row. So this is the second row, 5, 6, 7, 8. And 2 will be indicating the column which we are looking for. So the column is third column. So second row and third column, the element is 7. So it will print 7. Now can you guess the output for this command? Print B20. This is pretty simple. Yeah, you all got it right. So this will give me the element which is present in third row and first column, which is 9. And similarly, here it will give me the element which is present in first row and second column, which is 2. So I think you're all clear with how to index two-dimensional arrays. Yeah, very good. So I have one more question for you. Why will there be an error if I execute this command? Print B31. Yes, 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 yes. You got it right. So what this command is trying to mean is we need the element which is present in fourth row and second column, but there are only three rows, so this will give me an error of out of bounds. We are trying to access an index which is not present. So we must keep in mind while indexing with the numpy arrays or any array in general, that we shouldn't go out of bounds. So there is one more there is one more command which you can use to get the total number of elements in any numpy array, which is dot size. So first we'll have to give the name followed by dot size. So this will give me the total number of elements which are present across all dimension of that array. So since there are 12 elements, this will give me 12. Now there is more to NumPy arrays than simple accessing and indexing. We can generate some special types of NumPy array, uh, which is very beneficial for us, which is very useful in certain things. So what if I want an array having 0 as all of its element? We might need some array. So to generate an array having desired shape and having 0 as all of its element, we can use this command, which is np.zeros. So to use this, we'll have to pass the shape of the desired array which we want as a tuple. So I am passing 3 comma 2. So this will mean that my array will be having 3 rows and 2 columns. Now if I print this, we can see that there are 3 rows and 2 columns. Many times we need to generate some random arrays, and to generate a random array we use np.random.random function. So the syntax is pretty simple. We have to give the name of the array, which is L, equals to np.random.random followed by the desired shape of the array which we want. So I have given 4 comma 2. So as you can understand that this will give me an array, randomly generated array having 4 rows and 2 columns. Now if I print this, so yes, this has given me a random array. If I print it again, so another random array will be generated having 4 rows and 2 columns. Now if I want to generate an array having 1 as all of its elements, just like we did with zeros, so the syntax is pretty similar. We'll have to give the name to the array, e equals to np.ones, and in the parenthesis I'll have to give the shape. So the shape I want is 3 comma 2, which means I need an array having 3 rows and 2 columns. Now if I print this, this will be giving me an array having one as all of its elements. I guess this is pretty straightforward, so there won't be any doubt in it. So now moving on. Now if I need a sequence of numbers from 0 to some number, so I can use this simple command, which is np.arange, and in the parenthesis I need to give that number. Suppose that number is n. So what it does is it will give me an array stored in f from 0 to that number exclusive. So it will give me an array from 0 to 9 because I have passed 10 here. So now if I print this, see, it will give me an array from 0 to 9. Now if I write 101, so this will give me an array from 0 to 100. See, as you can see this. So moving on, there is one more cool thing which you can do with NumPy, which is np.linspace. So this will give me an array having evenly spaced number over a specified interval. So let me explain it with an example. If I print this, so what it does is it will give me an array from 0 to 10 having 100 evenly spaced numbers between them. So the first element is 0 and the last element is 10, and there are total 100 elements. So linspace will give me array from some lower interval to some high interval, both included, and I need to pass a number which will indicate how many numbers that I need in that array. If you are clear with these generation of some standard arrays, write +1 in the chat. Or if you have any doubt, you can write it in the chat box. So yeah, so we can move to NumPy array slicing. So you have already seen that what is slicing. So slicing in Python actually means taking element from one given index to another index. It is indicated by its name that we need to take some slice from any array, and we can use it. We can do it similarly what we did with list. So to take a slice from any array, we need to use start colon and colon step. Step is the number of jumps that we want. So this will give me the elements of array from the index start to the index n minus 1, because end is exclusive here, and with the jumps of step. So let me give you an example. So suppose I have defined an array np.array 1 2 3 4 5 6. This is a simple one-dimensional array, and suppose I do this print 1 colon 5 colon 1. So what I mean is I want the elements from index 1, which is 2, till index 4, which is 5, and the jumps I need to take is 1. So I need to print continuous numbers. So if I do this, this will give me 2 3 4 5. And similarly, if I want to take jumps of one step, two step, I can pass step as 2. So what we do here is we are passing 0 as start. So this will be the beginning of the array, 5 as end. So the fourth up until fourth element, until fourth element we need the array, and we are we are taking the jump of 2. So this will give me 1 3 and 5, because 5 is the last element which we need. So the array slicing is very similar to what we did with list. So I think you won't have any problem in it. So moving on now, if I want to use slicing in 2D array, so this is slightly different with what we did with a 1D array, but you will get it. So suppose I have an array 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. So this will look something like this. It will be having 2 rows and 4 columns. Now if I try to execute this command, what it does is, first of all we'll go row wise. So this will mean that we are selecting the first row, because 0 is the start index and 1 is the end index. So we are only selecting the first row. And column wise we are only selecting 2 columns which are present at index 1 and index 2. So we are selecting only the first row, and we are selecting only the elements which are present in second and third column. So combining this will give me 2 and 3. So as you can see, 2 and 3 are printed because they are present in the first row and they are the second and third columns. So Yeah. Arijit Das, you are right. So if you have understood how to do slicing with 2D arrays, write +1 in the chat, or I can explain it again if you want. Should I explain it again? So yeah, I'll explain it again once. So what I'm doing is I am first of all here I'm going row wise. So this command 0:1 will mean that I am only selecting the first row. Now column wise I'm going 1:3. So this will mean that I am selecting the first and second column because there is a comma in between. So we are changing the dimensions. So first of all we are dealing with one dimension, which is the row wise dimension, and secondly we are dealing with second dimension, which is the column wise dimension. So if I combine both of these, I am looking for the first row because of this, and I am looking for the second and third column. So the elements which are present in first row, which is 1 2 3 4, and in the second and third column, which is 2 and 3. So this will return me 2 and 3. So if you guys have understood this, write +1 in the chat. Okay, good. Now I've explained it earlier that we need to pass three things: start, end, and step. But if we don't pass start, it will be considered as 0. If I don't pass end, it will be considered as the length of the array in that dimension. And if I don't pass step, it will be considered as 1. So I'll explain it with an example. First, suppose there is an array 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, if I do this, can you guess the output of this command, this first command in the chat box? 0, 4, 2. The array is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Can you guess the output in the chat box? Yeah. Many of you got it right. So the output will be 1 and 3. Why? Because I'm starting with 0, which is the first element. I am going till third index. I am going till index 3, which is 4, but I'm taking jumps of 2. So first of all, I'll give 1, then I'll take jumps of 2, which is I'll reach 3, and now if I take a jump of 2, this will actually be out of the end which we have provided. So only 1 and 3 will be printed. So similarly, if I don't pass the start, it will be interpreted as 0 by Python, and it will be like 0:3:1. So this will give me element from index 0 to index 2, which is 1, 2, and 3. Now, if I don't pass the and parameter, this will be counted as the length of the array. So what it does is it will give me the elements from index 2 till the end of the array, which is 3, 4, 5, and 6. So I have one question for you. This is the array np.array 12, 21, 33, 44. And now can you guess the output of this command temp with a single colon in it? What will be the output? Write it in the chat box. You can write it in the chat box. Yeah. Almost all of you got it correct. So this will give me the entire array which I need. Similarly, can you guess the output for this command print temp 1:3? Very good. You guys are very smart. So this will give me 21, 33. This part is pretty simple. Now if I want to know the data type of NumPy array, because we can work with different data types in a NumPy array, we can know the data type of the NumPy array using this command, which is we have to give the name of the array followed by dot d type. So since this is an integer array, this will give me int64, which indicates that this is indeed an integer array. So I hope slicing, you are all clear with slicing. So we can move to array mathematics, which is a very important topic while learning about NumPy. So NumPy offers a lot of functions to perform mathematical calculations involving very high dimensional array very efficiently and very fast, in a very fast manner. So while we are working in the field of machine learning, we have to deal with a lot of multi-dimensional array, multi-dimensional matrices, and we need to do various sorts of operation with them. So NumPy makes it very easier for us to do those operations very fast and very efficiently. So let me first generate two arrays. So first is a pretty simple, a 2 by 3 dimensional array A, which I have made 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and second is the random array which I have generated. So this will give me the array of 2 comma 3 shape. See, if I have printed, both are of 2 comma 3 shape because there are 2 rows and 3 columns. Now if I want to get the sum of the elements of the array, I can simply use np.sum a. In the parentheses, I need to pass the array, and this will give me the sum of the entire elements of the array. So so this will give me 21, and this is giving me minus 2.3217. So this command is pretty simple, pretty self-explanatory. Also, we can simply do matrix addition in NumPy by simply using the addition operator. So if I define another array C, which is the sum of the array A and B, I can simply use C equals to A plus B. And if I print C, this will give me the sum of both of these array. So if I want to take the transpose of the matrix, we have studied it in our class 11. What is the transpose of the matrix? So first of all, I'll print the shape of the array before taking the transpose. Then I'll do this, which is print a dot t. So a dot capital T will give me the transpose of the array A. And if I again print a dot t dot shape, so this will give me the shape of the transposed array. Now if I do this, so first of all, the array was of shape 2 comma 3. There were 2 rows and 3 columns. Now if I did the transpose, as you can see that the rows and columns are interchanged, and this is also visible in the shape of the array 3 comma 2. The column and rows are interchanged. So that's how you can take the transpose of a matrix. We can also do element wise multiplication between two arrays of same shape by using np.multiply. So np.multiply will give me the element wise multiplication of the array and A and B, and it will be stored in D. So see, as you can see, that the D is the element wise multiplication of A and B. Now we know that matrix multiplication is pretty cumbersome, but NumPy makes it very easy for us to perform matrix multiplication. So if I define another array mat equals to np dot dot, so the dot command is used to perform matrix multiplication. See, there is a difference between element wise multiplication and matrix multiplication. I hope you guys understand this. So np dot dot will give me the matrix multiplication, the standard matrix multiplication, which you have all did in our class 11. So the arguments which we need to pass is the two arrays which we need to multiply in order. So np dot dot followed by a, which is of shape 2 comma 3 comma b dot t. So b was of shape 2 comma 3. Now I have taken the transpose, so it will be of shape 3 comma 2. Now if I do the matrix multiplication of this, so a 2 comma 3, a 2 cross 3 array is multiplied with a 3 cross 2 array. So what it does is it will generate a 2 cross 2 array. So if I print this array, which is the product of a and b, this will give me a 2 cross 2 array, which is evident from its shape. So if you have understood how to do dot product, how to add two arrays, how to multiply two arrays, write +1 in the chat. Or if you have any doubt, you can write it in the chat box. Cool. Now moving forward, if I want to know the maximum element which is present in the array, I can simply use np.max followed by the name of the array. So as you can see in this array 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, 13, the maximum element which is present is 13. So this will give me 13. Now if I want to know the row which will be containing the maximum element, suppose I need the entire row which is containing 13, so which is 11 comma 13 here. So I can pass one more argument, which is x is equals to 0. So this will give me the entire row which contains the maximum element. So if I print this, so this will give me 11 and 13, because 13 is in the same row as 11. So this will print the entire row. Suppose I need the column which is containing the maximum element, so I can simply change axis to 1. So this will give me the entire column which contains 13 as its element. So this will give me 5, 9, 13, as you can see. So I hope you guys have understood this. So that's all for the basics of NumPy. There is there is more to NumPy, but we are short on time, and you can Google to know more about NumPy. It's very vast. So axis is a parameter which we are using to determine the row and the column which will contain the maximum element. I won't go into the formal definition, but that's what we are doing here. So I hope you guys have understood until now everything we did with NumPy. If you guys have understood this, uh, write +1 in the chat. Okay, cool. So now we can move to pandas. So what is pandas? So machine learning is all about data. We need to play around with a lot of data in machine learning. So that's where pandas come in handy. So pandas is a Python library used for working with massive data sets. We can analyze, manipulate, create, and explore various data sets using pandas. So the first ritual which we need to do is importing pandas. So as you have seen what I did with NumPy, I'll write import pandas as PD. So this will give a name PD to the pandas library, and it will be imported in our environment. And we can access it using PD from now on. So if I execute this, it will be imported. So first and foremost thing which we do with pandas is creating a data frame. But wait, what is a data frame? So a pandas data frame is very similar, crudely speaking, it is very similar to a 2D array or a table with rows and columns. And you can think of it as an row, as a table which we use to create in Excel in a class 8th or 7th. So to create a data frame, we need to first create a dictionary of key value pairs. So you have already learned about dictionary. So let's create one. So I have named this dictionary as data equals to curly braces followed by a key. So the key I'm giving here is quiz, and the colon indicates that what follows is its value. So in while creating a data frame, we need to pass the values as a list. So I am creating a quiz key, and the list will contain the value of it. So chemistry, environmental, and mechanics. And another key which I am creating is marks, and it will contain the marks. So 10, 30, 0, and I'll be making these two key value pairs. Now, if I want to create a data frame out of this dictionary, I'll use pd.dataframe. We need to be very careful that here D is capital and F is also capital, and followed by data, which is the dictionary. We'll have to pass it, and we can assign this data frame into this df. So if I run this, so this what it does is it will create a data frame, some sort of table having quiz at its column name, and followed by the values, which is chemistry, environmental, and mechanics. Another column is marks, which I have created here, and its values are 10, 13, and 0. So creation of data frame is very simple. We just need to give the column name as the key and the content of the column as the values in in some form of a list. So moving on to some basic operations which you can do in Pandas. Suppose I want to select a row in Pandas. So I need to use this lock operation. Df is my data frame dot lock, and followed by square brackets, and within this square bracket I'll give the index of that row. So suppose I want to select the first row. I want to view the first row. So this will give me so I write 0, and this will give me the entire first row, which is chemistry and 10. So as you can see that, so quiz is chemistry and marks are 10. So this will give me the first row. Now, if I want to select multiple rows, I can simply do it by passing multiple indices, comma separated. So if I pass df.log 0, 1, this will give me the first and the second row. So chemistry 10, environment 13. As you can see that the first row is chemistry 10 and second row is environmental 13. So we have seen how to select multiple rows. Now, if I want to select a column, I can pass, I can simply pass the name of the column within these square braces. So if I want to select entire column, so this will give me the entire content of the quiz column, which is chemistry, environmental, and mechanics. Similarly, I can do it with marks. So if you have understood how to select rows and columns in a data frame, write +1 in the chat. I'll wait for a while. Yeah, cool. So moving onward, now what to do if I want to insert a new column? So that's where df.insert comes into picture. So the syntax is simple. I need to I need to start with the name of my data frame, which is df here, followed by dot insert, and within this parenthesis I need to pass index, which is the position where I want to insert new column, followed by a comma, followed by the name of the column which I want to give it, followed by a list of values which will be the content of that column. So let me give you an example. So if I execute this df.insert 0 name, followed by a list containing the value of that column. So John Wick Neo. So what it does it will give me the, so it will generate the it will add the column at first position. And if I try to print a data frame, you can see that there is one more column which is added to the start, having values John, Wick, and Neo. We can similarly add new rows in a data frame. So to add a new row, we need to we need to create it as a dictionary. Suppose I have defined a new dictionary having name as John, quiz as maths, and marks as 10. Now if I want to add it to our data frame, I'll use df.append command followed by the name of the dictionary which I want to add, and followed by this ignore index equals to true. You don't need to go, we don't need to go into detail of this command, but this is what we do when we have to insert a new row. So see, a new row is inserted at the end of our data frame, which is John, maths, and 10. So if I want to delete a column from a data frame, I can simply use del with a space followed by the name of our data frame, and within the square braces I need to mention the name of that column. So if I want to delete name column, the entire name column John with Neo John from our data frame, I can simply use this command. So if I see the data frame, see the name column has been removed. So we have played around with data frames a little bit. Now what to do if I want to save and load a data frame? So the command which is used to save a data frame as a CSV file. So CSV is a format which is very popular in machine learning. So this is a format in which many types of data sets comes in. So to save the data frame as a CSV file, what I need to do is I need to first mention the name of the data frame followed by 2_CSV, and within the braces I need to give the name of that data frame. So we need to be careful with the extension. I need to provide .csv and index equals to false. So index equals to false means that there won't be added column of index just like this. There won't be the extra column of indexes which will be added while we save the data frame. So if I execute this, see, and if I go to this file section of my collab notebook, as you can see that, see, it is saved. And if I open it, yes, so as you can see that it is saved. So what if I need to save this file as a Excel file? So I can use df.toExcel, similar to what we did with CSV, followed by quizmarks.xlsx, which is the extension for Excel files, and index equals to false. Now if I run this, see, uh, one more file has been saved, which is the Excel file, and I can download it on my laptop and I can run it on Excel. It will work fine. So now we have seen how to save the files in files, save data frames as files. So what if I need to load a CSV file? What if I have a file and I need to load it in some data frame? So the command which is used is pd.read_csv followed by the name of the CSV file. So I have saved quiz marks. Now I need to now I need to load it in the temporary variable. So if I load it, so see, that's what was quiz marks. This was the this was actually the quiz marks CSV file which we have saved earlier. Similarly, we can also load an Excel file in the same format, x equals to pd.read_excel followed by the parentheses, and within those parentheses I need to mention the name of that file. Now if I print this, so this will give me the quizmarks.xlsx Excel file. So that's all with the basics of NumPy and Pandas. So if you have any doubt regarding how to save, how to load data frames as files, you can write in the chat box, or if you are clear with this, write +1 in the chat. See, what is meant by index equals to false? So index equals to false, what it does is it will not create an additional column of indexes. See here, as you can see my cursor, there is a separate column which is showing the index of the rows 0, 1, 2. So if I set index equals to false, so while it saves the data frame as the CSV file, it will not store an additional column of indexes. I hope you have understood this. So I think Araman will continue from here and he'll be teaching you some cool graphs which you can plot using matplotlib. Bye guys.
Hello once again, and let me show you what you can do with matplotlib and cbond. Okay, so these two are plotting libraries, and using these you can plot various types of graphs in Python. You can plot normal simple line graphs, pie charts, bar graphs, histograms, something called heat maps, violin plots, and there are many more, but we cannot cover it due to time constraint, and we have already exceeded our time limit. So I'm just going to quickly show you what basic things you can do with matplotlib. So we we have a variable x, and which is an array, and we calculated all the sign values for all the values of x. Okay, so now we can plot sine wave like this. And suppose we wanted to plot a different graph like np dot exponential, which is like e to the power x. Okay, and this I plotted using the matplotlib library, and this is I am going to plot with the cbond library, the exponent graph. And let me create two more variables, and this is how you can make scatter plots. Different points are there on the screen, and you can also make bar graphs like this. Bar is called bar plot in cbond like this. You can also plot pie charts, and let me open this file. Let me see what is present in this file. So these are basically coordinates of points. Okay, and let me now make a scatter plot using cbond. So thank you got printed. So there are many more cool stuff which you can do with matplotlib and cbond, but we will cover it again sometime in future. But right now this is it. So in this session, you learned Python, and you learned about two Python libraries which are used very much in machine learning and data science. Those were NumPy, Pandas, and you saw what you can do with Matplotlib. So do you have any doubts? No, no, we will not discuss scikit-learn. And this was only the coding part. You are going to learn more about machine learning in the next session, which will be held on 3rd. So make sure you attend that. And yes, that is it. No, I won't be sharing the link to this. This is a very rough collab notebook. I won't be sharing link to this one. Okay, no doubts. Great. So I think we can end the session right now. Thank you all of you for staying this long. So now we will end the live stream.